From high above the city of Chicago, we are here for the Windy City Wreckfest. I'm CubeCast. Here with me in the booth, as usual, is Matt Kingsbury. And Matt, it's a very different look to the course for this event. We're used to a lot of runoff and the walls kind of being pretty far away from the track, but this is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the city here. Only a few city tracks, street tracks on iRacing. Long Beach and Detroit, the two real life ones. And this one actually, just like Long Beach, right in the middle of the city. It's a real scan of Chicago here. Not a real track that hasn't been raced in real life, but it is the real roads. So very interesting track, very bumpy, very narrow, and has a true city feel to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is basically goes right around the Art Institute of Chicago. It's about 2 or 3 blocks away from the Bean, and there you can see kind of the Soldier Field out in the distance from the track. So definitely is in the heart of downtown. Uses part of Lakeshore Drive, which pretty interesting, I think, to have to shut that one. I think it's Lakeshore Drive. Maybe it's not, but either way. Yeah, so we are here for the Windy City Wreckfest, sponsored by Penguin RC. Have to thank Penguin and Brian for everything they've put on and helped put on this season. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Just can't wait to see where this one goes. Drivers finished their qualifying sessions early, so now the clock has expired. We can go ahead and take a look at our starting grid. And on the pole is going to be Brandon Lambert by 4/1000th, 0.004 of a second over Sarah Rabb. Then Crosgrove and Reynolds, Carroll and Bush, Kingsbury, Fanning, row 4. Then Mofta and Ost, row 5. 11th going to be Seth Rawls, Brian Son, Peter Houston, Tim Brokaw, and Keith Jeffrey. I believe that a couple drivers in there did not or had to withdraw from the event. So looks like we're going to have 15 cars here as just about everybody is taking to the grid. Let's see what these guys are up to. It's going to be an interesting one. We have a full pace lap here, and I can't wait to see how it is, because this track, as you can kind of tell from some of these shots, it's pretty narrow and pretty narrow, and it's very punishing. I would not be surprised if we had a fair number of drivers have to drop out due to damage to their cars.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility here tonight for sure. It doesn't take a lot to hit the wall here, break the suspension. Very, very narrow track. So we could see a high attrition rate.
And I believe it's the first career pole for Brandon Lambert in the series. He definitely seems to have put some practice in throughout the week, because he was right up there with Sarah Rabb from the get-go. The drivers continue working their way through on their pace laps here. As there we go. You got a copy there, Matt?
Yeah, Chad, lost you for a second there. I think you lost connection.
Yep, but we're still rolling here, so everything seems to be pointed the right way for us. So yeah, Brandon Lambert on the pole there in the teal and red. And Sarah Rabb in her orange and white car now, switched over from the all reds as we get set to watch. We got a 15-minute sprint and then the inversion. Top 15 spots, so just about the whole field will take to the invert. And that could make for some interesting things depending on if somebody gets involved in an early wreck or something like that. So coming around, got a couple corners left here to go. And once we get to this feature, we'll actually see if we can't follow the pace car here. What we're going to do is just go behind it and watch this pit lane entry, because we will have a green flag pit stop when we get to the sprint race. So let's jump back up. Why? So here we go. They're going to go across this bridge here over the railroad tracks. But watch the pace car, because This pit stop is where things can get very interesting for drivers.
For sure, and you can see just how narrow this racetrack is as they try to even go 2x2 on the pace lap. Not a lot of room out there, and it's definitely going to be a challenging one for the start here. I think that invert, that question of that invert almost leads you to think maybe like, how much of an advantage is it going to be to start up front? So it could be interesting to see, what happens here in the final race.
Yeah, for sure. So I think if I remember right, I got myself a little crossed up where we were on the track, but I think the pit entry is coming here off of this corner. There might be one more, but yeah, the pit lane is coming up here on the right. It is a hard right. Look how narrow that pace car is taking the turn as we get set to go green. That pit lane is going to be interesting, but the cars are rolling. Lambert on the pole. And green flag is out here for the Windy City Wreckfest in the streets of Chicago.
A little bit of 3 wide in the back there with Marwan Mafta and Peter Houston, but quickly back out into single file.
Yeah, this track narrows up quick on you, so if you don't get a move done right away, you're going to have some trouble making one later on. So there's Lambert, and he's got a pretty decent gap, a couple car lengths at least already to Sarah Rab. Maybe the aero push from these cars a little more impactful here on such a tight circuit.
Yeah, it's pretty fast, too, for a street course with how bumpy it is. And these cars are definitely, relying on that aero to keep them gripped in the faster corners.
Yeah, there's Ray Kingsbury there, red and yellow, looking to dive to the inside. But it's just, you have to wait for somebody else to make a mistake here. It feels like there's not a lot of room to try to force a move if you have to.
Yeah, and a lot of the brake zones are kind of weird here, It's got like a late wall on some of them. And yeah, you can get inside there, but you're turning in before that wall comes. And if you're alongside, you can get scraped off easily into that wall.
Yeah, and something else that makes this track kind of difficult is it can be on some of these corners pretty hard to find a braking marker of some point because he's not the most obviously marked for a lot of these corners, it feels like. Oh, this Seth Rawls to the pits early. Something must have happened to him. Didn't see much damage to the race car, but yeah, he's down pit lane.
Perhaps he underfueled the car. That's about all I can think of because I don't see any damage to the car at all.
So he finds his pit box and will be back underway shortly, but that, of course, is going to put him last in the field. Lap time's about 1.5 minutes here, and pit lane's pretty short, it feels like, so definitely going to be one to watch. Oh, and that's Brian Son around. So he's able to collect it and damage both the front and the rear of that car, but he continues on.
Yeah, pretty hard impact. He got the corner all wrong and actually hit the black tire wall that protects them from hitting the concrete wall.
And that's side by side from Carroll across. Wow, that was tight. These guys
and Brian Son does have a meatball flag, so he'll be forced to pit for repairs, and looks like he'll be out of this race.
That's unfortunate. He loves to always just get back out there and keep the car rolling, but man, these guys are pretty aggressive in this group. This is Carroll, Crosgrove, and Bush, the front three. And they're all nose to tail. That's Ray Kingsbury trying to make a move in the back. Something duck out of line, but couldn't get anything done. Right behind him, Christian Ost. Ost got to the outside early, but not able to get the run off the corner to make it stick. Still in line, though, from 5th on back to 9th.
And Rawls did get back out on track, so it looks like it probably was just a fuel issue. 1 minute 40 second lap on the start there. So that would indicate it's likely that.
Yeah, he's doing a 9 second stop for fuel, so that's why it definitely had to be that. But yeah, Brian Son now in the pits for his stop. Forced to make one after the incident there that you saw just a moment ago, repairing the meatball flag. But this line of cars not letting anybody get away. Half a second or so between your first and second, then from second back to third. But then from there on back, there's a pretty neat line here. This is fun to watch from Carroll all the way back through Ost.
Yeah, getting pretty, pretty competitive group here. And I think a lot of guys new to this track still trying to figure it out. It being only on the sim for a little while now. So the first time some of these drivers are seeing this track, and it's not an easy one to learn.
Yeah, this is a look at David Bush and his one of two Lamborghinis in the field, the other being that of Tim Brokaw, it looks like, tonight. So those are the two Lamborghinis, and that's a lunatic racing Lambo, and he slaps the wall there with the right side just a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has any damage. Looks like he's able to carry on just fine. Maybe a little steering, but nothing severe.
Yeah, nothing like a little tank slapper in the afternoon, but these guys continue on, and that did break the front two away just a little bit, but it's still Carroll leading Crosgrove by just a couple car lengths. There's Ray Kingsbury peeking to the inside once again. And something happened to Keith Jeffrey as well. Yeah, you see damage to that car on the right front, so he's down pit lane as well as Brian Son, so both of them now sitting in the pit lane.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened to him. He looked like he was doing pretty good, but he did get the wall. It looked like out of turn maybe 2. Just not sure exactly what turn, but yeah, he got the wall pretty hard, and it did a significant amount of damage to the front end. Then he got it again with the rear end.
So Lambert still leads Rab, and then Reynolds in third. And Reynolds has kind of fallen off the pace of the front two already. Sir Rab's hanging around at about 0.6 of a second, and Reynolds pulled back to over 2 seconds.
Problems for Taylor Carroll. He's got a meatball flag, and it looks like Christian Ost might have had some issues too. Both of them flagging on our race control screen here.
Yeah, there you see a very wide corner for Carroll. He's definitely down on power or steering or something. Let's go on board and see down the straightaway if his steering is offset a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely pushing that way. So, not the best look on a tight course like this. And there's Houston as well behind.
I'm gonna go back and check see what happened to Christian Ost. Not really sure. It looks like it was a little while after, and we got around Taylor Carroll just fine, and then something must have happened later down the road. Not sure why he's showing a meatball flag on my end. His car looks just fine.
Let's see here, because I was showing an alert here that says Taylor Carroll may have crashed, but let's see.
He lost it. It was down in the middle section of the course.
Oh, that was a hard lip with the right front from Keith Jeffrey. That's what put him in the garage. So
and
he's
Christian Ost just dove off. So it looks like he did have some right front damage. Car did look okay to me. I mean, it didn't look like it was ill handling or anything like that. But the iRacing gods have said he has to pit and take his meatball flag.
So that's going to promote Peter Houston up into... Oh, and he just slaps the wall hard there with the right rear. That's Peter Houston now having to take a tow.
This race, as we predicted, one of survival. And, we do say that, but there is a battle about to brew at the front here. Sarah's been hunting down Brandon the last few laps here. And closing. Same with Blake Reynolds. He's starting to close up a little bit, too.
5 cars have had to take to pit road for damage repair. Brian Sohn, the only one that's gotten back out on track so far. Seth Rawls, of course, had his pit stop on lap 1 just because he did not fuel the car. But otherwise, everybody else has hit the wall with significant contact in the first 10 minutes of this race.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any car-to-car contact, really. I think it's all been single cars just hitting the wall.
Yeah, we've seen a couple guys make some moves, go too wide through some corners, but for the most part, it's been clean racing driver to driver, but driver to themselves has been pretty brutal. By the way, yeah, something's definitely fallen off with Lambert's car because he's lost considerable time to Rab, and even Blake Reynolds is being able to catch up because Rab can't get by.
Yeah, not sure if that's something to do with the setup, long run versus short run setup. maybe he has it really good for Q pace and tires, wear out a little bit. It is a street course, so taking care of those tires is probably really important with all the wheel spin you're going to get with, possible brake locking, the car skipping around as it's bouncing. So, yeah, Sarah is definitely all over the back of Blake Reynolds here as she goes over the bridge, and it's only about 1 car length back, and Blake Reynolds is now there too.
Yeah, David Bush still trying to work on the back of Cody Crosgrove. Thought he might have an opportunity after Crosgrove brushed the wall on corner exit, but still those two, 4th and 5th. Kingsbury's worked his way to the 6th spot, so just kind of a benefactor of misfortunes of others. But yeah, still Lambert leading Rab, and that gap pretty steady. Reynolds, though, is right there as well. Wow, these 3 caught up quick.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's hard to get close to someone, especially with how narrow this course is. Not a lot of draft either. Longest straightaway, you're only getting up to about 130 miles an hour on that front stretch, and then it's pretty slow the rest of the track. Another zone here where you can get a little draft, but yet again, quickly up onto the brake zone at about 140 miles an hour.
Oh, and there's a huge slide from Rab, who's going to get the launch off the corner. This might open the door just enough for Blake Reynolds. They're side by side. But who's going to blink first? Rab, of course, saw her get squirrely in last course. She's going to defend to the inside. Can she hold the position? Squirrely once again. Reynolds has to go to the outside once more.
Yeah, Blake had to check up there, though. Wasn't able to get the run off, and you can't really go too wide into this corner. He's going to try to square her off.
I'm not sure if she's just been pushing too hard and scorched her tires, but not able to get the run off the last couple of corners. Now through this little half circle, semicircle, down kind of towards the back end of the track, and these guys just not letting anybody get by him.
Yeah, and while this is happening, Lambert's looking in his mirror saying, "Thank you," because he's pulled out a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, for sure. 3 minutes, 40 seconds left to go here in the sprint race, and these drivers, man, they've had their hands full. Just about everybody. Something must have happened to Brian Sohn once again. He's back down pit road for a second time. Christian Ost has gotten out of the pit lane, so he is now up into the 11th spot. Keith Jeffrey is back out there as well, so a couple drivers deciding to go back out there, try to make up any spots they can, but I'm not entirely sure if that's wise, because you're just going to keep you're just going to keep hurting yourself when you get to the feature race with the invert.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, you got to make that call and decide what you want, especially with how hard it's going to be to pass here. I think it's going to be difficult. And obviously, high potential of carnage. Looks like Sarah is starting to close the gap back up on Brandon Lambert at the front here. But, Blake Reynolds in the wall there. Hopefully nothing too serious of damage, but, looks like he's okay, able to continue on. Yeah, Ray Kingsbury actually closing in on, it looks like, Crossgrove and Bush in the back there. Not sure if he can get anything done for the 5th place, but definitely making ground on those two.
I think the interesting thing with the invert that we've been mentioning a couple times, but something that I hadn't really thought about is, we've seen so many drivers get into the wall, but if they hit the wall again in front of you, you really have to be able to take quick evasive action if you don't want to either find the wall yourself or find another car.
Right, and I think that's a little scary, to consider. We haven't ran a street course all season. This first one, I'd say this is probably one of the toughest ones you can run. So it definitely opens up that possibility of you getting collected in a wreck. So if you're Blake Reynolds, I think you gotta play damage control here and just kind of be patient, because he's got the title to possibly lose. And if you're Sarah Rab, Brandon Lambert, go for the attack, try to get the overall win.
Yeah, Reynolds has the championship all but locked up at this point. He's put on a heck of a season and just been able to rack up as many points. And I mean, he's had times even with having to work his way through the field where he was beat by Ray Kingsbury a couple of events ago, but because of where he finished in the sprint race, ended up expanding his championship lead there just because of how the points shook out.
White flag is out. Battle up the front here is still not done and dusted. If Sarah can close the gap with a mistake from Brandon Lambert, she's got a shot to take it to him.
Yeah, a mistake from Reynolds did kind of move him off the back by over a second now, but this is the battle for the lead, and Rab has been there the entire race, just hasn't been able to find a way by, and when she's gotten close, just the mistakes end up putting her even further behind.
Yeah, Lambert's done a nice job of managing the gap and just managing, how hard he pushes. I think he's running a smart race this time. Really smart race.
Yeah, for sure. The Rab there, you saw her kind of sketching off the wall a little bit, but it looks like it was just cosmetic damage. Just got some paint off, some weight reduction there. And you can hit some of these concrete barriers pretty good and not do too much damage, but the tire walls, they can really tear up the car because it kind of just pushes you back into the middle of the racing circuit.
Yeah, I think Sarah said she's, obviously she's attacking pretty hard here. She wants to try to go for it. So, final lap here. Coming into the final corner. And it looks like it's going to be Brandon Lambert to take his very first overall win in the sprint race.
There you see flash the headlights, giving a little celebratory weave, and we'll look a little further back in the field here as they come across the line. No improvement there. That was Crosgrove, Bush, then Kingsbury. That was in the 6th spot. And then on back, it's Kevin Fanning, Marwan Mafta. Still working their way around the track. It's Tim Brokaw. These guys all pretty close on track, actually. That's Mafta, Brokaw, and Rawls, and none of them really able to improve themselves. But that's it for the sprint race. Drivers will now have a 10-minute warm-up. But Matt, while we get set for the warm-up, I think that kind of taught us some lessons watching that race. It really seems like we could, there we go, getting some celebratory donuts there from, I think that was Brokaw or Rawls, one of the guys there. But anyway, from watching that sprint race, I think drivers learned a lot about where you can maybe try to pass, where you can run too wide. We saw that a couple times, but overall, it felt pretty processional. You just have to try to force a mistake from somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of it being a very, 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 very narrow track. It's like a CQB battle out there, It feels like it's indoors, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people just were bouncing it off of the walls all over the place, it really felt like. I think this is one of those tracks where typically the warm-up is not the busiest time, but I think a lot of drivers are going to have to take advantage of it here just because of the way that the race has gone and how treacherous this track can be. Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of an indoor karting track. Just narrows, so narrow with the walls right next to the track like that. I don't know if you had the same idea.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. And the one thing that we were talking about in the pre-race before we got on the air, but the bumps that these cars are going up against. We'll go on board here. Let's watch Blake Reynolds because he's got some traffic he's going to have to dispense with. But we'll go in on board with him and just watch the bumps that this car has to traverse because it really feels like that horizon is never steadily in front of you.
Yeah, it's quite bumpy. As he comes over the hill here, tunnel, down the brace zone, you see there's a bump there, and then through the apex, pretty big bumps too. Right there, bumps as you're turning in, all the way through the corner. That's probably one of the bumpiest sections of the track.
Yeah, and I mean,
and bumps here, and it just, the car seems like it's on edge the entire way through that section there.
Yeah, I mean, when you listen to the engine on board, you can definitely hear the car tries to get some more revs in it once it kind of gets airborne, and then it just slams back down and bogs the engine. So definitely suspension is key for these guys in this one. Can't wait to see how they race with some of the faster cars working from the back.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to be good at modulating your throttle pedal, because if you're kicking that TC, you're going to bog. So you got to be able to, mind those bumps and, play the power down when you have traction. And when you don't have traction, be patient with that throttle, be soft on it.
Yeah, and that's Blake Reynolds behind Peter Houston. Reynolds is able to catch up, but like we were talking about, it's just you have to try so hard to not make a mistake yourself, and there's no way they can get by.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few good spots like to overtake. I think there's like 3 really long straights on this track, maybe 3 or 4 that you can make into an overtaking zone. And you got to just set up your run out of those corners, because if you don't do that, you're not going to have the run, obviously, to get alongside them, because the draft's not really strong enough to help you too much. It'll do a little bit, but you got to have that run coming right out of the corner so you can pull alongside, and just get, and assert your position, so to speak. Because if you don't assert your position here side by side, you're never going to be able to take the spot.
And this car right here, this is Ray Kingsbury, and he's had an interesting week so far. Not able to get much practice in. Got a new wheelbase installed. What, a couple hours ago, you'd say, Matt? And
He said it installed since I think he ran at Rallycross actually. Just hasn't really had any practice on it though. Was still getting the software set up, and it's all brand new to him.
But yeah, I mean, what as a driver, what does that do? I mean, I've been on the same wheel for like 3.5 years now. So when you get a new wheel, well, how does that really impact you? Do you have much experience with maybe the wheel changing how you drive?
Yeah, I went from a G27, that I had for like, I don't know, 7 years maybe, and it still worked. It was COVID. It just hit. We got our sim checks, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna upgrade. I mean, now that I think about it, it wasn't really that big of an upgrade, being a CSL Elite. But even with that, a big difference in the feel of the car. Going from a Logitech to a Fanatic, just the difference is immense, and you feel a lot more, and it does affect how you drive. But in the long run, it obviously helps you.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun, hearing people like getting these amazing new rigs, but the first couple of weeks they're even slower than they were on their old one, and they always say, "Oh, I want to go back, I want to go back," and then once they get used to how that wheel handles, it's just, nope, I'm never going back, I'm never changing, and then something newer and greater comes out, and just makes for a really fun time trying to get the setup the way you want it.
Yeah, I think Ray got a direct drive. I think it's an AccuForce, maybe it is. Can't remember the exact brand. So that's a pretty nice wheel there, and he's gonna have that for a long time to come, obviously. And the Fanatic, I think he had a CSW Club Sport, whatever those are called. And that's also a very nice wheelbase. But he's going from belt driven to direct drive, and I think that's the biggest change.
Yeah, it definitely changes a lot of things. I know that I'm still on the gear-driven G920, so yeah, it's loud as heck, and you don't get much feedback out of it, but it gets the job done for casual racers like me. And then you've got fast guys like yourself and Ray and everything, that the upgrades really do help you out. So definitely a ton of fun to work with the tech side of iRacing. Now, I know that your brother, I think it was, raced in VR for a little bit, and then you switched over to the triples to ultra wides or something like that. And what about you? What do you use for your racing monitor?
I used to run VR also for the longest time. Up in maybe even a year ago, I switched over. So me and Ray actually have the same setup now. We ran VR originally, single monitor to VR, and then to a single super ultra wide monitor. And just for the comfort level, I prefer like a triple setup or an ultra wide. Just you're not sweating. I love VR. Don't get me wrong, VR is great. The feeling of being inside the car is unparalleled. But just running in an hour or 2 hour races in VR is not fun sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just from talking to guys like the endurance races, they'll run their ultra wide, but for normal racing, they usually will do VR, and it definitely makes for quite the experience. Because I hear apologies. Oh, sorry about that. I just trying to get back used to VR again or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely more fun. I've got an ultra wide now, and it always makes it pretty interesting when somebody else might have more or less vision than you, and somebody makes a maneuver you're not expecting.
Yeah, that was the one thing I love about VR, is you could see your sides really well, and turn your head, just know instantly where everything was. you lost a little bit of like graphical quality, but it had its benefits. And I think I ran it in Indy 500 once. I ran it in Le Mans 24. Nighttime and daytime. So I always ran pretty good with it. Didn't really affect my pace, but the graphical quality, just being able to see like long distances was a lot harder to be clear about. Like there would be like a wreck out ahead of me, and I didn't even know it was a wreck. I just all of a sudden I was upon it, and that's the one big advantage of the monitors. I can see further distances a lot clearer.
Yeah, I get that for sure. My favorite story from VR, I had a buddy that was running Le Mans 24 last year, I think it was, but he got done with his stint and accidentally fell asleep with his VR on. Come to, wake up from his nap an hour later, and he thinks that he's still driving because he just opens his eyes and he's in the sim. So, you ever fallen asleep in VR before? What was that like?
No, I've never done that, thankfully. Uh, I mean, it gets hot, so I could see why someone would fall asleep in it, but it's not the most comfortable thing.
I feel like that'd just be something just terrifying, knowing that you wake up, you're like, oh no, I just wrecked for the whole team, but come to realize somebody else is actually driving the car.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Just wrapping up the warm up, about a minute to go here, and a lot of drivers really getting the most out of it. Looks like only a handful of drivers left on track. This is Peter Houston in the 4. We'll go back a couple spots here to Brian with his Penguin RC simulation stuff. Think Ray get any equipment from Brian yet? Have you gotten anything?
I actually did. I haven't got it really set up yet, but I bought Button Box. I really like the feel of it, and I actually was just looking into figuring out how to mount it yesterday, and can't wait to really do that. And it's a nice piece of equipment. The boxes themselves are not too expensive, and I like that he has like a hub connector for it that you have to use, which would allow me to like connect 4 of them through the same hub. So I really like that, and I can keep adding if I wanted to, and yeah, just good build quality overall.
And that is the end of our warm up, Matt, and definitely going to be a fun one to watch when we get to the full race because some of these fast cars are going to have to work their way through a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I think that's our one and only point we really got to watch here is see how that type of carnage unfolds. And I think carnage is the apt word for it, considering, that first race we had, I think, 5 out of 15 cars DNF, third of the field. So we could see, upwards possibly of near half the field DNF out of this final race. And of course, the whole field has been inverted for the first time. If you finish last, you're starting pole, so that's kind of new because usually it's just the top 15 and then a few cars behind are stuck back there. But now it's the whole field, so it's completely inverted.
Yep.
No cars that didn't get inverted.
Yeah, and here's a look at the starting grid. Brian Sohn starts on pole. And it's going to be a tricky task for him, just like it would be for a lot of these drivers that wrecked out early. If you had an incident, you're starting at the front of this field, so going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But Brian and then Peter on the front row, and then Keith, Jeffrey, Taylor, Carroll, row 2, Christian, Ost, Seth Rawls, row 3, then Brokaw and Mofta, Fanning and Ray Kingsbury on row number 5, then Bush and Crosgrove. Final 3 were your top 3 podium finishers in the sprint with Reynolds, Rabb, and Lambert. Both Mertz and Saponsky have withdrawn from the event. So let's look at the grid here for the Windy City Wreckfest, and man, it's going to be fun to watch some of these fast cars try to work their way through some traffic.
Yeah, it is. But we also got a few fast cars up at the front here with Peter Houston, Taylor Carroll. They're both running towards the front end of the field. I think Taylor was around 4th or 5th when he crashed out. So some fast cars at the front that don't have to go through traffic.
And by the way, I'm still getting confused with this Rabb versus Son livery. They look very similar under this cloud, but Brian's is a little more blue and orange compared to the white of Sarah Rabb.
Yeah, it's more of a grayish color. Like a gray-blue.
Now you see all the clouds rolling over the track, Matt. What does that do for the race car? How does that kind of impact how it drives with the track temperature cooling off?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because it could help you, but it could also hurt you if it makes it really a little tight. You know, you might just carry the car into the wall. Um, you know, you got to adjust that. Yeah, I mean, you got to adjust your line a little bit, adjust your speeds, and you might be able to get the power down a little better out of the corner. So you just got to kind of find, you know, and manage, you know, the limit of this track.
Yeah, for sure. These guys now working their way over the bridge and make a hard right-hander. And that one, with the track going so downhill, you kind of have to back up your braking point a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's one of the tougher areas of the track right there. I saw a lot of wrecks there in the sprint race. I think it claimed like 3 or 4 of the cars actually.
Yeah, some of these as well with the kind of the secondary apex like this one. The track really kind of falls away from, or the track kind of falls away for the access road, and then there's a secondary wall that is the corner. And that's an interesting corner there, especially for it, because the runoff is actually before the corner. So if you miss it, you're done for.
Yeah, and something to note, we have one car starting from the pit lane here, Marwan Mafta, so looks like he doesn't want to risk getting junked as we come to the green here.
Off the final corner, pace car pulls away, and the green flag is out here for 15 minutes of action from the streets of Chicago. So then Houston and Jeffrey, top 3. We'll keep looking further on back. Bunch of red on my timing screen. That means drivers losing positions. Is there an issue for Sarah Rabb? There is already for her. Kevin Fanning as well. Then Marwan Mafta now coming out of the pits. We'll take a look here. I know it's early, but we'll take a look at the replay, try to figure out what happened. And she was just so late on the brakes, dives it down to the inside, hits the inside wall, and then unfortunately taps. I think that was Kevin Fanning that went around. It was.
Yeah, that was a really weird one. It looked like a little net code on Fanning because I didn't see any contact on my end. You know, she took evasive action there to try not to wreck anyone, which I think everyone can appreciate. I don't think she saw everyone slowing down so early and just tried to get out of there.
Yeah, and that's one of those things on the first lap. You know, it might be a nerves thing, but with just everybody so close together, it definitely makes things a little more. You know, your drivers are a little more careful. Might back up their braking markers, make sure they don't make a mistake. And if other drivers are going full bore, braking where they normally would, that's where stuff like that happens. Because you saw her swerve to the left side, trying to stay out of everybody's way.
Yeah, and she damaged her suspension doing that because she's got steering damage right now. She's about 30 degrees to the left down the straightaways, so you know, that's going to add to a rough night for her.
Yeah, and that's going to be a long race for her, trying to get that damage repaired. Hopefully, at least a little bit at her pit stop. See what happens. We only had the cautions in the endurance event this season, so here in the 45-minute feature, we will not have any opportunity for a yellow. I think that it was declared by the stewards that if the track was blocked, one may come out, but otherwise, definitely it's going to be a green race, and drivers trying to make the most of it there. That was Kingsbury you saw trying to peek his nose to the inside, but this is just a train of cars.
Yeah, starting a real spicy, you know, at the front. Peter Houston already got around and is going away, so he's got his lead. But back in the pack here, Ray Kingsbury, Seth Rawls, a lot of guys doing battle as we have Crossgrove and Bush side by side into a very narrow corner there. Bush into the wall.
Yeah, Bush and Kingsbury both got either made contact or got very close to it. I know Bush made contact, but I thought Kingsbury might have as well. But this is still just a freight train of everybody. Just about. Brian Saunders dropped from all the way from the lead down to 4th, and he's right in front of Seth Rawls there in the 125. And that 125, I think, showed some pace in practice, but unfortunately couldn't translate to the race. And there's one car around. That's a 111 of Brokaw. I don't think he collected anybody else in it, but unfortunately that's how that one went for him.
Very lucky there. He didn't even hit the tire barrier, actually. I think he missed it.
Oh, there's a
So,
huge crash in the back. That's Ray Kingsbury that was involved in that one. Look. Oh, wow, that was just a massive shunt.
something happened with David Bush. Just didn't stop for the corner and T-boned Ray Kingsbury.
Yeah, he was...
Blake Reynolds got damaged, and I think that's Tim Brokaw that got damaged also. It looks like Lambert got away clean, though.
Wow, that was really something. I don't really know what else can be said about it because that was just so unexpected.
I think it was kind of similar to what happened to Sarah. He tried to make a move on Brandon Lambert, didn't see the brake zone, and just carried way too much speed into there and just got Ray Kingsbury. Nothing on purpose. Just Lambert was defending really hard, and David was being very aggressive, and yeah, just came out of nowhere. I think if you're Ray Kingsbury, that's unfortunate, but definitely nothing on purpose there.
Yes, this is Fanning that was involved in that early spin from Kingsbury. So he's up into the 10th spot in front of Sarah Rabb by just a couple tenths of a second there right behind her. We'll keep an eye on this battle. We'll jump around a little bit because all of these cars are still pretty close on track, with the exception of your leader, Peter Houston, who has just pulled out to a 2.5-second lead.
And I should correct myself. It wasn't Lambert defending. It was Cody Crossgrove. I don't want to make him sound like the bad guy here.
Kingsbury, by the way, is in the pits as well as Bush and Reynolds from that one. And that's the 125 of Seth Rawls around.
And Lambert's going to roll on by him, take the spot.
Yeah, Rawls decided to take the tow back to the pit lane, so definitely had a huge impact there. This is Sarah Rabb still right in the back of Kevin Fanning.
Well, I think our prediction of a lot of cars crashing has already come true because we've got quite a few cars on pit lane. Blake Reynolds actually on pit lane himself too. I don't know if you saw that before, Chad, but Blake's got significant right front damage, and it looks like he has a meatball flag.
We all died.
Ray Kingsbury, David Bush, Seth Rawls all have meatball flags right now.
So, Ray, sorry to see you here in the booth with us, I guess.
Did you see what happened?
We did. You did a lot of spins in the air.
I did?
Oh, I think you spun around a couple times, yeah.
Well, we had hopes of getting back out on the track. Unfortunately, there's 38 minutes and 46 seconds left in the race. We have 39 minutes and 10 seconds of repairs, so we might get one lap left then.
Hop out of the car and just start beating on the suspension.
The real issue is that we have to put a new motor in.
Oh.
If we had towed before the motor blew, we might be all right.
Yeah, we did see Christian Oss
Christian Oss had a spin. Was in 5th place, tracking down 4th place Brian Son.
And that wall just comes out to bite you.
Yeah, I don't know really what happened. I was going into turn 1, and somebody T-boned me after the apex. I don't know if they went through the wall or what, but...
somebody happened to, unfortunately, miss the braking zone for that corner completely, it seemed like. We'll leave that one up to the stewards at the end of the event. But, Ray, I mean, it's definitely a different racetrack than we're used to seeing out here.
You know, I really enjoyed the sprint race. I had a lot of fun. And I was actually enjoying the start to this feature. Man, the inverted grid here is just absolutely nuts. Like, I was having to underdrive that car so much to not get into the back of people. I think even on the start, I got into the back of Seth pretty hard just because we all were woed up so much. But Seth absolutely, like, just drove the thing like an animal off the corner, just saved it.
Yeah, it's just taking a look here at the points at the moment, and Blake Reynolds came in with an 87-point lead. He, of course, had that really good finish in the, I think, a third place finish in the sprint. That's going to help him, but he's also going to lose considerable points to a couple of drivers out there. Of course, you, unfortunately, Ray, are not out there, but Brandon Lambert's still in line for a 5th place spot. Peter Houston, 169 points back, so I think mathematically he's eliminated.
Yeah, I don't think Blake is standing a chance at losing the championship, but I think he could, he could fall back a little. I think if anything, Brandon might pass me.
Oops, trouble for Sarah Rab there. Just clipped the wall.
Maybe
Car
the
looks all right.
Constructors' Championship is the one that might really be up for grabs.
Clipped the right side of the car on a wall, but it looks like it's okay.
We'll tell you,
I'm
though.
bored with the steering, and it seems like it's about the same as it was before.
You know, Chad, we were in the booth a lot together last season, and this might be one of the best tracks I've ever driven a GT3 car on. It is terrible for side-by-side racing, but it is a ton of fun to just lap by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it. I've driven on it a couple times in some smaller cars, and with, say, the PM18s, we raced those in the officials last season here, and it's really fun because it's such a skinnier car. There's more room in the corners to work your way around, and definitely is a fun one here. This is Brandon Lambert trying to get the 4th spot from Brian Son.
Yeah, trying to get onto the overall podium and take the fight to Peter Houston for the overall race win. We'll see if any of these cars in front of him cooperate, but Keith Jeffrey still in 3rd place, Taylor Carroll in 2nd place, and Peter Houston up there in 1st. So Peter and Taylor, enjoying this night as they take advantage of their woes from the sprint race.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Houston's already 10 seconds or so up on Brandon Lambert, so even if Lambert can dispense of this traffic eventually, will he be able to find any time out there on the track?
Well, right now he's got the pace. He's about a second a lap faster, so if he can get around these guys quickly and efficiently, I feel like he's got a shot.
Yeah, so this is really the closest battle on track at the moment. No other cars really within much time of one another. Lambert peeks to the inside. He is there. Can he make the corner, though, with such a tight entry? Wow, that's that corner where the wall really jumps out at you, but Lambert barely able to make it through there safely.
That puts him at the 4th place, just outside the podium. He's going to try to chase down Keith Jeffrey in the 888 here in the Mercedes, Blake Reynolds' teammate, who's doing a nice job this race, also capitalizing on the troubles of many other drivers.
Yeah, Houston and Carroll both, I think are both in the pro class. No, is Carroll in the... We do this every week, don't we?
He's pro.
He is a pro.
I believe he is.
He runs the pro decals. I thought he was an AM because of his I rating, but I'm not entirely certain.
He might have got promoted last season. I'm not too sure.
That might have been it as well. But anyway, now that yes, Lambert is the AM class leader now, and Jeffrey is the class leader. So this is the battle for the AM class lead. Peter Houston, though, well out in front there for the pros, and even Lambert, though, he's leading the AM class championship, but he's still 3rd in the overall points. So great driving this season from Lambert. I think that he's stoked to hopefully to win himself a title there.
Yeah, this has been a good season for Brandon. I think just the experience he's gained is finally coming to fruition, and he's starting to come to grasp with road course racing better and better every season, and gain pace as he does so, as he learns new things.
Yeah, so in the AM class coming into the event, Lambert had a 76-point lead over Kevin Fanning. Fanning at the moment a couple spots behind in 7th, so set to lose even more positions. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure, and hopefully we get some great battles here, as this is that Keith Jeffrey, Brandon Lambert fight that we were talking about.
Yeah, and he's going to have the run down here into the corner. See if he can get the job done. Decides better of it. Holds off for the front stretch, which is probably the smart move. Get a little bit more of a draft here. Slow car of Seth Rawls on the right. Not going to be able to tuck out. Keith Jeffries is able to defend, it looks like, so far.
Yeah, it's interesting. Seth really just limping along out there. I'm not sure He's just trying to make up any spots that he can, but there's considerable yaw to that car.
Yeah, that doesn't look fun to drive.
And there you see very defensive from Jeffrey. Is he going to let him go? Oh, he just lets him go by. It was an interesting move there from Keith Jeffrey. That promotes Brandon Lambert to the podium.
Yeah, I think that's, he's just being sporting. This is a tough place to pass, and he's recognized he's B, obviously, and doesn't want to risk a wreck. So no problem with that for me. No sense in 30 minutes to go. No sense to fight someone that isn't really in your race.
The battle for the lead's pretty stable at about 2 seconds. We're keeping an eye on that gap, but it seems like actually back here, Brian Son has lost position to teammate in Sarah Rabb. Rabb now up to 5th, Lambert in 3rd. Those are two of the people that it's been a tough season so far for Sarah Rabb. I mean, she's had everything from her wheel disconnecting, her VR blinking out, a wheel change, I believe it was, or something else went wrong there, and just some bad wrecks and mistakes, unfortunately, that really hampered her shot at a championship.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of just, she's still newer to the sim, kind of like a rookie, so to speak. So a lot of just teething issues. I think she's got the overall pace to eventually challenge for the title. Just gonna, work out the issues, learn from her mistakes. I think today's been a good race for her. She's shown a very good race today. Just, besides that little contact she had at the start, it's been a really, really good race for her.
Yeah, for sure. This is the battle for the lead, by the way. It's come down to a second now. So Carroll definitely closing in. The pace is, maybe Houston's just trying to save his tires a little bit.
It is possible, but that is a Porsche. I feel like this is a track where the Porsche could excel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these guys have been practicing quite a bit this week to be able to maintain the track like they are, because it took me a long time practicing in the PM18 to be able to get this place down. So it can't be easy in these big old GT3s.
No, definitely not. I actually haven't drove this track yet. Even though I was the biggest advocate for it to be raced, just being in the commentary booth, haven't had a chance to. So, really looking forward to trying it out. It just looks like a lot of fun, and as we look at the lap times, also, by the way, we got at the lead 25.682 for Peter Houston, Taylor Carroll 25.243, and Brandon Lambert 24.453. So Lambert, your fastest car on track. Taylor Carroll faster than Peter Houston. This is gonna get really spicy.
Couple cars working their way down pit lane. Blake Reynolds has actually gone back to the pit lane to possibly take more repairs. Keith Jeffrey, I thought it was for a scheduled stop, but he's going quite a considerable time there in his box. Tim Brokaw's down as well.
He doesn't have a meatball flag, but he has a lot of damage to the right front that was not there a lap or two ago.
Yeah, we saw him slow getting passed by Sarah Rabb. And so, yeah, that's unfortunate for him making contact somewhere on the race course. 15 minutes in, still 30 minutes to go. It really feels, with the way that this race has gone, with how exciting it's been, it just definitely makes things feel like they're going by a lot quicker, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of wrecks so far, and some pretty good battles, too. Brandon Lambert showing how to pass here for sure. We'll see if, Taylor Carroll is watching that footage in his mirror.
So Houston, Carroll, Lambert, your top three. Lambert's still closing in. So definitely both of the 4 and the 10 there that are out in front losing considerable chunks of time to Brandon Lambert, because he was about 7 to 8 seconds back not too long ago after getting by some of the traffic.
Yeah, Sarah Rabb actually faster than Brandon Lambert by half a second that lap. So, that's quite significant of a pace difference. We could see her possibly mixing up for a podium spot here pretty soon.
Yeah, she is not far off of that, trying to close in on that gap. But the issue is We've seen how hard it is to pass. It could take her some time to get there, and yeah, just gonna have to wait and see how that plays out. Looks like Marwan Mafta is now down the pit lane. Does he have significant damage to his race car? No, he's up on the jacks, but I don't see any damage, at least to what we can see.
I believe that's a scheduled stop for Marwan Mafta about halfway through the race here.
Yeah, I just think the interesting thing is taking tires with how rough this track is with how much it might wear him down. So definitely going to be interesting to watch.
He also was last car on the lead lap, so perhaps he's just thinking, let's play it safe and just pick up some more spots. Let's keep our car handling good. Let's just keep it alive, pick up more wrecked spots. So it's not a bad strategy to have here.
Closer and closer to halfway. And it looks like Mafta is back underway once again. So it's 39.3. That's about right for taking 4 tires and fueling the car. And Keith Jeffrey is back off pit lane now. Blake Reynolds got out there, ran a couple extra laps, but he's back in his pit stop, has been there for quite some time. Looks like Seth Rawls and Christian Ost have withdrawn from the event. I know we said Ray Kingsbury will not be able to continue at all. And David Bush still in the pit lane getting a bunch of repairs. We'll have to assess the damage situation if he comes back on pit lane. But still Houston and Carroll out in front. Gap is about half a second between them now. And Lambert's cut another 2 seconds or so into that gap as well. You see him just getting closer and closer there in the mirror.
Yeah, and he's in shot now. I mean, one more lap and he's going to be in this fight. So great job of Brandon Lambert to quickly close that gap up. Now, if he can't get by right away, that possibly does open the door for Sarah Rapp to close the gap on him, and we really might have a fight on our hands for the race win.
And the question is, if you're any of these 3 right now, I think Lambert, you don't have to worry about it quite so much, but if you're Taylor Carroll, do you try to short pit and try and get some clean track to run some quick laps?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea here. I think if you're, honestly, if I'm Lambert, if these guys don't pit and I get to the back of them, I'd pit.
Yeah.
I think now's the time to make that call. Oh, into the wall, Taylor Carroll. Saw it on your screen live.
Yeah, all that's doing is letting Lambert get closer and closer. Now within a second and a half of your leader, and Peter Houston. And Lambert, I think that he might have just practiced a little bit more because he just really seems comfortable out there.
Yeah, he seems really good. I think he's got the most confidence out of anyone on the track besides maybe Sarah. And that says a lot. I mean, he's putting the car in the right spots. He's consistent. You're not really seeing many wiggles at him. You saw one there. But he's very consistent with how he's applying the throttle.
Yes, and still now under 1.4, 1.3 now between them. He is closing and closing quick. And he's definitely going to be there before they make their pit stops. I mean, he's already there.
Yeah, I think he's got to pop down and try it, because if you get stuck behind these guys, you're kind of throwing away time. And I think with the window open, now's the time to make that call.
Yep, just
Taylor Carroll taking a look down on Peter Houston.
And there's contact there. That's going to let Brandon Lambert think about going 3 wide. You can't do that there. Now clip the inside wall. These guys are all over the place, and Lambert's going to go through. Well, I guess that strategy decision is done and dusted.
Yeah, I mean, not really sure what they were thinking there. I mean, Taylor is in the inside, has every right to his line there, but it's just so narrow that Peter tried to give room, couldn't. They made contact. He got around, and then they got going again, and they go through the next corner, and Taylor hits the inside wall, bounces off, gets into Peter barely, and turns around. They're both wrecked.
Yeah, and that was one of those where, I mean, just with the way that, we'll take a look here, see if we can't. So that's the second impact. We'll go back here. I mean, we'll take a rewind here, and you're really trying to. There was not much room there for Taylor Carroll to to move any more right. He was alongside, but definitely interesting as we continue to work our way around here.
Yeah, I mean, that one I'd chalk up to being racing incident. I mean, even if you're Peter, where are you supposed to go there? I mean, that's just not a good place to overtake. If you're not halfway up there, I feel like you got to back out. I mean, I'm not one for F1 style rules where, you say, oh, don't race side by side. But that's not really a place to race side by side.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you get a run anywhere here, you kind of have to try to take it. A little over-ambitious, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, by the way, Sarah Rabb now sits 30 seconds back from Brandon Lambert, but she has already made her pit stop.
So she must have just stopped because she was just right behind him.
Yeah, so she has definitely worked her way into the fight here, and I think that her pit stop, she's got some clean traffic, or clean racetrack. She can probably get going and now be in the fight for the lead.
Yeah, I think she's right there. That slowed Brandon up significantly, and she pitted, I think, just to make sure she didn't get stuck behind Taylor Carroll. So, yeah, really, really good call there, just to pit and get out of, traffic.
Yeah, Houston has withdrawn from the event. Looks like he will likely finish up in the 10th position. That's where he just dropped.
I feel like
with Keith Jeffrey still turning laps.
I feel like if you're Brandon Lambert, if you're not making time on Sarah Rabb, you need to respond and pit. So this next lap is going to tell him whether or not he needs to pit. Well, he might have to pit anyways, but yeah, for sure, risky to stay out and not cover up the strategy.
Yes, top three, Lambert, Carroll, Son. None of them have pit yet. Sarah Rabb, the first car on track that has pit. She's 20 seconds clear of fifth place Kevin Fanning, who also has made his stop. So here comes Lambert over the bridge, a couple final corners before he comes back around to the pit lane. Will he make it? He stays out.
Yeah, I mean, technically you're going to run your fastest laps now, with a lighter fuel tank. So I get staying out. It's just the real question is Sarah faster than Brandon right now? If she is, I'd be pitting to cover her up.
Yeah, I think you might be just a little too late because Sarah's pit lane time alone, not including the in and out of the pit lane, but from line to line, it was 33 seconds. She's only 29 and a half seconds back, so.
Yeah, and she's just run a 23.596 as opposed to Brandon's 24.0, so that's a few tenths of a gain, and I think it's going to be really hard for him to beat her out of the pit lane.
It's been a heck of a run for both of those drivers, though. Working the way from the back of the field. Brian Son still holding steady, though, in the third spot. He's probably going to make his pit stop here pretty soon. But this is just watch your leader. There's not really any cars close to one another on track at the moment.
Yeah, no one close on track at all right now. Everyone's spread out to the pit strategy. And here comes Brandon Lambert down pit lane.
Hard on the binders as he turns down the road and gets woed up to pit lane speed. Now just has a long crawl here. Look at that elevation change over the sidewalk. That is just incredible as he pulls into his box and he's going to take his service. Let's now switch back to Sarah Rabb, see where she is at on track. She's going to come around this final corner here and I would assume get the lead.
Waiting on Brandon Lambert to go. He's just rolling out of his box, and it's not even close. Sorry, that was the wrong car. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, there you see him going into the first quarter. Oh, and it is close, but Rabb, I think, just with the clean racetrack, is going to have the opportunity here to get the win. Just she's been running faster laps than Lambert the last couple times around.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened there. She had a little bit better pit stop, I feel like. The pit entry looked really good on hers, and Brandon's looked a little slower. And just the difference in lap times, that she was putting down was just enough to nudge her in front of him.
Yeah, their pit lane times were just about identical, but their time not in box was exactly identical. They both had great entry and exits, but box time itself, Sarah Rabb's stop was 1.1 seconds shorter than Brandon Lambert. That's where a lot of that time came from.
Oh, she's into the wall, and Brandon's around too.
Yeah, wow, that's just a compound of errors there. Lambert doesn't have anywhere to go. And that's one of those things about this track where it's just impossible to get yourself turned back around. He is losing so much time just trying to get himself turned around. That's Austin Powers' move right there.
Yeah, I got a little bit into the wall. Might have a little damage, but probably not anything too severe.
Let's take
the real question is, how bad is the damage on Rab's car? Is she badly damaged, or is it going to be able to carry on?
Yeah, so here's the replay. Let's see what happened with her. She has the slower car of Brian Son there in front.
She has a meatball flag, too.
Oh, yeah, she hit that inside wall hard, and Lambert saw the smoke and just had nothing that he could do.
The car itself looks like it's driving just fine. I mean, it looks pretty fast. Everything looks pretty good. She has a meatball flag, unfortunately.
Yeah, sure, and that's for sure. That's going to give, presumably, the lead to Taylor Carroll, who's currently in third. He's made his stop. He's got some damage from some earlier contact, and Lambert, of course, he has just some wing damage, but Lambert's shown pace. He's been able to get by him. But can he chase down Taylor Carroll once again?
Yeah, I mean, 10 seconds is a doable gap, I think, for him. It's just, it's going to be tough. And I think Brian Son right now is your race leader, but he still has to pit, I believe.
Yeah, he has yet to make his pit stop. Lambert, however, his best lap of the race is 0.7 of a second faster than Taylor Carroll's, and still waiting to see what lap time Brandon's going to be running here out of the box. This is still the first lap since his out lap, so we'll keep an eye on the stopwatch there as Brian Son now works his way down the pit lane.
Sarah Rabb inherits the lead there, but she still has to pit for damage repair. That car flagged by race control for a mandatory repair.
She's got a couple of laps around to make that pit stop. She's got 15 minutes left in the race. Yeah, so that gap, though, definitely looking interesting from Carroll to Lambert because the gap now 9.1 seconds.
And Lambert's lap times look pretty good. He ran a 23.9 that time by, so car seems pretty solid. Minor damage. It looks worse than it is.
Yeah, sure. This is a look at the 10 car of Taylor Carroll. Got some traffic there in front of him, I believe. That is Keith Jeffrey. Yes, it is. So he's back out there just logging some laps and hoping to find a way to make up some more time.
Yeah, we could be in for an interesting finish here. That's really, like we said, those errors from Sarah Rabb, right? Over the season. And there's another one right there, still trying to figure things out. She had the race win in her bag, basically. All she had to do was not crash it, and she did.
Yeah, so waiting for her to work her way down the pit lane. Probably going to have to be this time, or else she's going to get get a penalty from iRacing, be disqualified from the event. So Rabb, Carroll, Lambert still just waiting on to see how long that stop is going to have to be for Sarah Rabb. Because typically when it gets you a meatball flag, that means it's going to be a considerable amount of time in the box.
Yeah, I just find it odd that they're mandating a pit stop if the car is still that fast. It just seems redundant. So I wonder if it's maybe like a heating or engine or cooling issue, where it could explode down the line. But we'll see if it's going to last, 12. Who knows if it could have lasted 12 minutes, and she not take repairs. But will not get to find out because she's going to have to pit or they'll stop scoring her.
So 6 cars currently out of this event. That's from Peter Houston all the way on back through Ray Kingsbury. Keith Jeffrey currently sits 2 laps down, and he's out on track, and I think he's just kind of hoping for some misfortune of others in front of him.
Brandon Lambert, a second and a 10th faster than Taylor Carroll that time by. So lap times are good, but I'm not sure they're good enough.
Yeah, he's
only got about 6 laps left, 7 laps left.
Yeah, so he has an opportunity to be there if Carroll makes a mistake. He knows he's gaining. He can see the time on his timing screen. He will know that he is gaining. You just have to hope that Carroll makes a mistake and he's able to capitalize.
Yeah, it's got to be gutting for Brandon, to not be able to capitalize on that. Obviously, only really wrecked because he got distracted by the wreck in front of him. I think if that doesn't happen, or, he doesn't spin and get stuck like that, he's got this one in the bag. Just getting stuck like that for, 10, 15 seconds really hurt him.
And we've talked to Lambert a couple times during this season for winning in the AM class, and definitely looking to be one of his better finishes of the season so far.
Yeah, if he can chip into that gap a little more and run 23s, I think he's got a shot. As I say that, he responds with a 23.9, so getting very, very close and might be able to make this work.
Yeah, that last lap was his fastest lap of the race. He is pushing, and he is doing everything he can to try to catch back up. The gap is now about 6 seconds between the two. Rab is down pit lane. No, she looks like she's disconnected from the session.
Well, if you don't serve your penalty, they're going to DQ you. So it looks like she's been disqualified.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't see a notification that that was the case. Check the entries list here. Yep, Sarah Rab has been disqualified by the stewards.
Yeah, so the sim, after 3 laps, right, they told you to meet well flags, so they don't count your lap times until you got to pit. So they count the laps for about 3 laps, and then after that, they tell you, all right, you're disqualified because you didn't come and repair a damaged, dangerous car. So probably feels a little hard done because the car looked fine, but that's the iRacing rules for you. And when you head on a wall as hard as she did, the car probably shouldn't have been running.
Yeah, different Keith Jeffrey, the driver that took 3 minutes of repairs and went back out. Only 1 lap down, or actually, yeah, only sits 1 lap down, and he's looking to make up another spot if he can gain enough time there on Rab.
Battle between Brokaw and Fanning on track, actually. And it looks like Brian Son even. 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, it's a little freight train that's formed up out of nowhere. So these guys all just pushing hard towards the end. 8 minutes left in the race. 4.5 seconds the gap from Carroll back to Lambert. He's going to need a miracle for Lambert. He's going to have to push.
Actually, I'd say the gap is there. He's got a chance if he can keep the pressure up. He's got enough laps to get there.
Yeah,
the question is, does he have enough laps to get around?
Yeah, I'll say once again, he has turned his fastest lap of the race is now 1:23.879 last time around, and last time around for Carroll 1:25.6. So definitely making up almost 2 seconds a lap. He's going to be there. If that keeps up, that is.
Still watching this battle here between Son and Brokaw, and Fanning lurking in the distance. Not able to make a move just yet. It looks like Brokaw falling back into Fanning just a little bit here as he takes a peek up the inside, but thinks better of it.
.5 seconds lead for Taylor Carroll. About 4 laps, 5 laps to go, just depending on how it times out. But Carroll, Lambert, and this is the battle between Son, Brokaw, and Fanning. So it's going to be fun to watch these guys as we continue to work our laps down here. Only one more event to wrap up the season. We head to Indianapolis in 1 week's time. It's both getting set for the Indy 500 in the real world. We'll be running there here in the sim. So stay tuned for that one next week, where looks like our championships might be close to locked up, but still going to be a fun one to watch there. As driver is going to be very competitive there at the familiar Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course.
Sure, and so on a note here, actually, we don't really have many pro cars left in this race. You notice that? I think Taylor Carroll, we're not even sure if he's an AM or pro. He has the pro banner, but like I said, he was being scored for AM points a few weeks ago, so not sure what he is classified under. But Cody Crossgrove, actually, I think the only running pro driver out there, other than possibly Taylor Carroll.
Yeah, and that's a fun one for sure. Just how things shake out sometimes, because I mean, looking at the back of the field, Reynolds and Kingsbury and Houston and Rab all DNFs from the event.
Yeah, it's your entire pro field that's DNF'd, which is kind of funny. This gap, by the way, at the front, down to 2.5 seconds just about. And, Lambert's going to be there for the next lap or two.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of speed, made up a lot of ground. But is he going to have enough time to, once he gets there, to force an opportunity to get by? Because this was his race to lose, and he still has a shot to get it back.
Yeah, and there's also a lap car between them, but we've seen Keith already move over once, so I don't think he's going to play, a factor in this one. I think he'll be a gentleman and get out of the way.
Yeah, that's your third-place driver, Cody Crossgrove, showing a lot of nose damage on his car. Now under 2 seconds the gap from Carroll to Lambert. Should be 3 laps to go at the line.
Well, Chad, I have one thing to say. No attack, no chance. And Brandon's so far shown enough attack that I think we're going to have a shot here. Keith Jeffrey moves aside, lets him go. Very classy move. And he lets the battle for the race win here in the dying moments of the race get underway.
It's been a hell of a drive from Lambert. 9 seconds back at one point after his 18-point turn into the wall. That's where that rear wing damage came from, but he's been chasing him down. He's been pushing hard. Made up a full second last time around. This time by the line. It's going to be a 124.3 compared to a 123.9 for Lambert. So Lambert still made up 0.4 of a second there, even having to deal with a lapsed car.
Yeah, actually, I'd say Taylor Carroll is the one responding to the pressure here, turning up the wick. Got to make this tight a little tighter than we thought. If he can keep that pace up, it's going to be hard for Brandon to get to him.
Yeah, now just over a second between the two. Working 2 laps to go. Believe we'll be getting the white flag at the line. And once again, this just all depends on when they come across the stripe, and just by the looks.
I think we're going to get 2 more.
And that's
we've got enough time.
I'll say if that's the case, then Lambert's going to be licking his chops.
It's going to be very tight because Got about 30 seconds on the clock here. I think it's just enough to get another lap.
So we'll keep an eye on the flagmen as they come across the stripe.
Yeah, no flag, so we got 2 laps to go.
And there you see a little flicker of the lights from Lambert. Hopefully they put enough fuel in both of these cars. And the gap now 3/4 of a second. Lambert pushing hard. He's got a couple more opportunities. About a lap and 3/4 to go. And he's absolutely got a shot at this.
Yeah, and he's sniffing that draft now. And, you know, like I said, there are a few spots where it does pull you along a little bit. So we'll see if he can take advantage of them. Time has run.
Looking here out the nose of the 46, and definitely very late on the brakes. Look how close he is as they make the left-hander.
Also, just a side note in the back, well, not really the back, 5th place, Kevin Fanning got around Tim Brokaw for 5th place and is looking to battle with Brian Son for 4th.
2 laps to go. These guys at about the halfway point there through their lap. We'll look back up front now, half a second between them. I think that Carroll, as they take the white flag one final time around here for Taylor Carroll and Brandon Lambert. Lambert's there, but he has to be able to get by, and that takes, we've seen it take a couple laps to set up. The only question is how aggressive is Lambert going to be this last time around?
I think he can attack. He's got a 32-second lead, so, you know, a little argy-bargy won't cost him too much.
Brian Son, by the way, still defending that 4th position. But at the moment, still Taylor Carroll out in front.
Got a nice run down this straightaway here, closing the gap. He's going to take a look into the outside on the brake zone. See if he can square him up off the corner, takes the run, gets alongside.
Yeah, he's got that crossover. The only thing is now the track switches back to the right. But this is some fantastic racing between them. That's the same corner that came to, similar corner to where they came together before. Oh, but Lambert unfortunately slams the wall.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything Brandon could have done there. He just no room. He got squeezed out. So that was an interesting one. I don't think he did anything wrong there. He had, you know, he had the overlap. He was ahead of Taylor Carroll going to the brake zone. So just nothing else he could have really done there.
Now out the final they come on the penultimate race this season. Taylor Carroll crosses the line and takes the win in Chicago. That's going to be followed quickly by Brandon Lambert, then Cody Crosgrove. This is the battle of still waging on for 4th, 5th, and 6th as they come through. A couple more corners to go. Peeking to the inside is Fanning, but still too far back. He's now feeling the pressure from Brokaw. Brokaw wants to find his way by. And this just shows how big the gap was between them all, because these three still just now coming across the line. It's going to be Son finishing 4th, then Fanning 5th, and Brokaw 6th. The last car still out there running at the moment is Marwan Mafta. He's going to come home with the hefty 7th place finish. A good job to him. And let's take a look here at our final results. Here from Chicago, it's Taylor Carroll on top with Brandon Lambert, then Cody Crosgrove. Brian Son 44 seconds behind, but he takes the 4th spot. Then Fanning, and then Tim Brokaw, as we talked about, in the 6th spot. Mafta finishes 1 lap down. Then Jeffrey, Rabb, Houston, Rawls, Reynolds, as well as Kingsbury and Bush all finish multiple laps down. So we'll give it a moment here, waiting for some drivers to cycle their way back in here. Matt, definitely made for an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it was a good race there, especially at the end. I think, you Lambert did everything right there. Didn't try to recover from that wreck. Gave himself really the only opportunity you have left at that track is that corner to pass on. And it looks like he had the move done. I personally love what he did. I think he had given enough room. And I think Taylor just pushed a little wide and got into him. But overall, good clean racing. Just it's a street course. When you're going to the outside like that, very well you're putting yourself in a position to get, possible contact, just the way it is.
And it looks like we do have a race winner joining us here in the booth, Taylor Carroll. And Taylor, your first win of the season. What are your thoughts?
It's my first win of all of NASA, to be honest.
Well, that too, but don't want to get your head too big. No, but first win for you in any of the NASA series. And, I mean, it was definitely a crazy one out there.
Yeah, the sprint race didn't go as planned. Got the old meatball flag. Came back with the reverse grid, got in a good spot. Some errors and some dive bombs took out the main competitors, but got a little lucky there.
Talk about those last couple laps. Not even the incident with him, but just watching Lambert in your mirror and on your relative get closer and closer. What was that like?
It's not fun. I mean, I know he's faster than me. He's been faster than me like all season. New job, haven't been able to practice much, but I mean, he's a good driver. He's probably one of the better ones in here. And just it's always fun racing him. But it's fun because this is a new track that we've never raced before, and so it's new for everybody.
Yeah, do you think that kind of helped you out, just being kind of level playing field, just being a full reset for most of the field?
I think so. I mean, that probably has a big part to do with it, especially like the incidents that happen. There's no room for error, like at all.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun one to watch, and now we go from this tight street circuit to the very familiar track to a lot of us here at NASA. We've raced here several times at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
I will not be there next week, actually. I will be in Scotland, but I'll be watching.
You better be. No, but hey, enjoy your trip, man. It was definitely fun to watch you out there today, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. But no, congratulations on the win. Anybody you want to thank?
No one in particular. Maybe just all my teammates and Ray and Matt and everyone else who runs this league. They've got a good thing going here, and I've really enjoyed being part of it for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's been a fun one for sure, and thanks for joining us this season. Enjoy your trip and make the most of the off season.
Thank you. I will. We're gonna have a baby, so
Well,
probably not much driving going on next year.
Well, congratulations. If you name your kid Chad, that'd be pretty awesome.
That it's probably the last name we're gonna name it.
Cool. No, but hey, congratulations on the win, and congratulations on your future.
Thank you, sir.
That's Taylor Carroll, overall winner here tonight. And next going to be joined by Brandon Lambert. Wow, Brandon, what a run from you.
Hello. Hi. Yes,
Hey.
it was.
What was it like trying to chase down Taylor those last handful of laps?
Very, very fun. I knew I could catch up to him. Getting around him was going to be another thing. I hate that he got me in the wall there at the last second, but I understand it's hard racing. He didn't kill me, so congrats to Taylor on the win.
Did you feel like Austin Powers out there when he had to make your 27-point turn?
Yes, I did, and I kept watching Relative because I kept seeing people. I was hoping nobody was coming, and I had like 20 seconds to the next car behind me, so I was able to go forward, back up, go forward, back up. I was like, I'm Austin Powers right now. That was literally what went through my head.
I was gonna say it definitely gave off those vibes, and you had a couple of incidents, but still coming home second here was a pretty decent result for you.
It's a great result. I couldn't ask for anything better. One, to win a sprint race, which was absolutely insane, and to be battling for the feature win too at the end. I couldn't ask for a better night.
Did the chrome horn come to mind at all?
It did, but I couldn't catch him.
It was definitely a great race from you, and one race left on the season as we head to Indy next week. Yeah, you comfortable there?
Indy is my favorite track.
Oh, sweet and to the point.
Exactly. Yeah. I had a great night tonight. I was worried about this racetrack, but
think the AM championship is pretty much mine now. So
I actually think it's locked up at this point. So, hey, congratulations there as well. Anybody you want to thank for your run tonight?
just everybody at LLM and this whole group here at NASA put on a heck of a show, and really enjoy racing here. And of course, oh my lord, his name just slipped my mind. Christian Ost and Complex M works for the sponsor of this ship this season. Looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, hey, it's been so much fun watching out there this rest of the season. We got one more race to do it next week. So, congratulations on the podium and the sprint run as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy.
Yep. Thanks, Brandon. That is Brandon Lambert, your AM class winner here tonight. And Matt, some exciting racing, but next week we go to some of our favorite racetracks as we head to Indianapolis. Where are we in the rallycross season on Monday?
I think Daytona. I know we could have done Lucas Oil, right?
I believe that we always finish under the lights at Daytona, but
I don't know if Daytona has lights for rallycross. I don't think it does.
well, either way, it's gonna be a fun one. So make sure you tune in for the championship round over there on Monday night, and join us here back Thursday for one final event to wrap up the A series. A seasons here in NASA as we get set for some summer shenanigans possibly. We're going to keep everybody posted on that as well. So thanks everybody for tuning in for our sponsor Penguin RC and Brian Son. We can't thank you enough. Check them out, Penguin RC Simulations. And thanks to Josh Mertz and Brandon Lambert, Ray Kingsbury, Philip Kraus, Chloe Brunton, Kieran Forrest. Everybody helps put this thing on. Special thanks to Matt Kingsbury for joining me up here in the booth as well. But until next time, just race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.